Good morning, everybody. I'm Larry Weishuhn. If you enjoy real-world hunting and fishing talk, you're really going to enjoy listening to my good friend, Luke Clayton, and his guest for the next hour.
This is David Fox, and welcome to Outdoors with Luke Clayton and Friends. Luke has been a recognized outdoors writer for the past 3 decades and writes for a host of outdoor publications. Luke pens a weekly newspaper outdoors column that appears in over 40 Texas newspapers. Luke is on the pro staff of Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything air gun related. Smoking techs, electric smokers, feel free to contact Luke through his website, catfishradio.org. Now let's join Luke and his guests for this week's show.
Well, thank you, men and folks. Welcome to the show. I have Mr. Larry Weishuhn with us. He's going to tell you about a trip he's about to head off on. Larry, thank you for being with us. I know you're excited and packing, and I know you've been shooting in rifles. You're ready to go somewhere, aren't you?
Look, you're really right. And of course, this segment is brought to you by DSC, Conservation Education and Advocacy. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable, stealth vision. Some of the finest optics. They're headquartered in Crockett, Texas. Vineyard Max over at Nacogdoches that makes absolutely fantastic deer bait, but also feeders and all those other kind of things. Sells my knives, and then also by Taurus and Rossi. Now Taurus makes the Raging handgunners, and Rossi does the lever action rifles. In mentioning all of those, I am actually using every one of those, including we sold a hunt at the DSC Foundation Gala back in July to go hunt with Randy Flannery up at Wilderness Escape Lodge out of Danford, I guess is the closest town, Maine. And it was bought by Mr. Abe Nafa, who serves on the DSC Foundation board and a longtime friend. And meeting up with them and them being he and his wife, Tori, and my wife and I, and hit it up that way. You're right. I've sighted in my 45-70 with, of course, Hornady ammo, and it's a Rossi, one of the lever actions. I've got a Stealth Vision red dot scope on it, and then I'm really going to try to hunt with my handgun, which is a 454 Casull Raging Hunter, and it too is topped with one of the Stealth Vision's red dot sights, if you will, and of course shooting Hornady. So, and they've been baiting with Vineyard Max the last several days as well too. So we just about got everything covered that we just talked about in that area of Maine. It's been a while since I've been up there. We're hunting just east of Mount Katahdin, which is one of the highest. Well, it is the highest point there in Maine, up in what they call the KI, which used to be a huge timber area. And the bear up there are, of course, black bear, and I've never seen anything but black up there, hunting up there in terms of color. But there's a big old bear up there, the biggest bear I've ever seen in my life. In terms of black bear, I saw right in the same area that we'll be hunting. So, man, I'm excited. I can't wait to get up there.
Yes, sir. You know, and also you were telling me about the smallmouth bass fishing.
Man, yeah.
This time of year, it should be very pleasant weather up there. I bet you get a chance. Most of your setting over that bait probably in afternoon, evening, late afternoon type deal. You'll probably have some time to do some fishing, won't you?
We're definitely going to do some fishing. Randy's lodge is there on a lake, but there's another lake that he's been telling me about that he's actually got a guide set up for Abe and he and I to go fish. He says it's reputedly or supposedly the finest smallmouth bass lake in the world. So we're going to spend a couple of mornings fishing. Temperatures up there have been in the 40s and 50s in the morning and like the 60s and 70s in the afternoon. And as you mentioned, we'll be sitting on the bear baits. We'll probably starting about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll have some time in the morning. And I've only in my lifetime I've caught one smallmouth bass, so I am really looking forward to that side of that trip as well too.
You know, Larry, I'm about in the same boat, literally on the smallmouth bass. Ron Gardner was a bass guide down at Lake Whitney, and I think he still owns the Texas record smallmouth caught out of Lake Whitney. But this is 30, 5 years ago. I used to go down to Whitney and fish with him. And, of course, in Texas, there's no lake where you just hammer the smallmouth bass. There's just not – I mean, there's lakes with smallmouth, but it's nothing like where you're going. But I did catch a few with Ron. He would fish at night. And this was back in, back in the 90s, you know. And he was an expert at catching smallmouth. I forget the weight of the Texas record, but I'm pretty sure that Ron Gardner still owns it. I'm not sure. I'm not positive about that, but yeah, they fight those smallmouth bass. My gosh, you know, a largemouth bass is an ambush feeder. He'll hang up in the brush there. There's some cover. When something comes along, he'll grab it and he exerts his energy, wham, all at once, and it's done with it's a strong fight for 30 seconds, but these smallmouth, they just keep on fighting, Larry.
That's what Randy's been telling me. He said, you're going to absolutely love this. He said, he knows I like to fish, and I don't get to fish a whole lot. About the only time I really get to fish when you and Jeff and I go out with Bill Carey up here on Striper Express, and, on occasion with David Hanson and some of the other guys. But so I'm really looking forward to the fishing side of things. Of course, I got a feeling based on the temperatures that I'm seeing, like I said, it's going to be relatively cool in the mornings and real pleasant in the evening. But I got a feeling, too, with the temperature changes, the leaves are just going to be starting to change up here, the maple trees, particularly in the low spots where you turn red. So we're going to be filming that I'll be filming it, self-filming it for our Sportsman Life. So hopefully we'll end up with a bear hunting show and a fishing show out of that, so we can really highlight some of the things that Randy and his guys do up there. Randy's been written up in so many different magazines, and the Outdoor Life, Field and Stream, and all those other kind of things from his tracking abilities on with deer. And so, I've been friends for years, and I'm really looking forward to that trip.
I know you've been looking forward to it for several months. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. I want to say hello to Mark Billette and my buddies up in Colorado. Mark has been a long time friend for 30 years of mine, but I outfitted, elk and bear hunts with Larry Large up in northern Colorado. Not far from the border, on the far north end of Colorado, north of Steamboat Springs. And so we leased a ranch for years up there, Larry, and did archery, mostly elk. And the guys could always get extra tags for bear, and a few of them would take those. And the bear up there now, Mark tells me, is just phenomenal. They're not great. Well, there's some 300-pound bears, but most of them are going to be more like 150 pounds, 175. But tons of bear. I mean, they're getting to the point they're troublesome, really, But so we stopped the outfitting several years ago. Larry, I pulled out first, the story, and then Larry stopped. Elk guiding, is not a job for someone 70. It's really not. I mean, it's tough work up there. So Larry pulled out. Mark still leases the place, same ranch. Perfect. And so it's just a fun deal. But I hoping they all had a good hunt. I know they had a good time up there. So it is fall. I've been fooling around close to the house, Larry, with dove. There's a preacher friend of mine that owns a couple of 100 acres, right where I'm talking about. Right. I tell you what, the stage is set. First, the northern birds have just started coming in, and I've done some scouting. I'm going to go out actually in the morning, maybe in the afternoon too. But I found a spot. There's probably, 60, 70 acres of native sunflowers.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and then there's a fence row, heavy line of trees, and on the other side of that is that little 5-6 acre spring-fed place that I fish there. Well, I'm going to put some decoys out on that fence line, some flapping wing decoys, I call them. And, and then I've watched them with binoculars. The doves are flying in the morning to get grit and feed. There's some sandy or gravelly-looking area right there. Should be a good shoot, Larry. I'm kind of fired up. I don't do a lot of dove hunting, but man, it's within a half a mile of the house, and there's a lot of dove right because of those sunflowers, you know.
Well, isn't that the opening day? I know that down in South Texas, in some of those areas, the season's been open a little while, or maybe it's going to be opening day in South Texas. I can't remember. I know that we've got several different zones, and again, we need to remind folks too that when you get out this fall, if you hadn't already bought your new hunting license, you really want to go do that right now.
You bet. Yeah.
You never know when the game warden may show up, and you want to do the right thing anyway. But the dove hunting, gosh, that sounds like fun. I'm hoping that if I can get away a day or so before I head up north, that I may get a chance to do a little bit of dove hunting as well too. I've got access to some places from farther north and farther south. So depending on where that season is, I may slip out for a day and do some of the same.
I hope so. Yeah, it opened back on September the 1st, you know, in the north area.
Okay.
Yeah. But
okay,
it's these northern birds have been, there's been an influx, which usually happens. You know, we always also, people hunt dove that have hunted dove for years. It's those Kansas birds. That's exactly what it is. Those little cool fronts we had. It does not take much to push doves south, and I've seen a bunch of the big old, a little bit bigger than a regular a native dove. They're the same species, but they I guess they've been eating good up there in Kansas.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, but I want to film this too for our TV show, A Sportsman's Life. I always like to brag on the show that Jeff Rice, our buddy, puts it together.
Amen.
And it's on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and just search out A Sportsman's Life, or you can go to Carbon TV, where a lot of people watch it on Carbon TV. And you can usually just find it right away on recent videos, because I mean, Jeff puts up a new show every week. So you can search out A Sportsman's Life. You know, Larry, also, while we're talking about Carbon TV, that is an awesome place to watch outdoor shows, not only A Sportsman's Life, all kind of outdoor shows. And our podcast, this radio show here, becomes a podcast on Carbon TV. You can just click under podcast and Catfish Radio, and your show is also there, and a lot of people can just kind of listen to the whole thing nonstop right there, can't you?
Yeah, you actually can, and that's DSC's Campfires with Larry Weishuhn. It's there, and that's a great place to listen to it. Another I mean, of course, we're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Yep. Both the shows are. And then there's a deal called OutdoorAction.com, which really is based out of Texas, and WaypointTV.com. All those people can go to and access mine and yours, and it's a great place to listen to. I spend a lot of time windshield time this time of year, and so that's what I do when I'm traveling, is I'm listening to our podcast and a very select few others as well too. It's a great way to kind of keep up with what's going on. And again, this one, the Catfish Radio with Luke Clayton and friends, and the DSC's Campfires, we're a weekly podcast, so there's something going on every week that's new and for people to listen to, just like the TV show, which I dearly love. For years, I did outdoor television shows on the more traditional things, and we do a hunt this fall. You got to see it next fall, and by the time you got to go there, it was 2 years past the time that I was there.
I know. With
this, we film it, we show it, you can go to the next day. I love it.
That's right. It's fun. It works out good because I learn things too just by watching you guys and other guests that we have on there. But when I get on there cooking or setting up for dove or whatever, if I'm doing it, I want to make sure a little bit of information is passed along. Larry, speaking of passed along here, they're telling me we're out of we're out of time again. But safe travels up to Maine, and I think you're going to be able to give it next time, the next show. I think you're going to be able to give it direct from Maine, from bear camp, right?
Yes,
we're hoping
we will do it from bear camp, and maybe out fishing for smallmouth the morning that we visit.
Look forward to that, Larry. Safe travels, buddy. Friends, I want to tell you about an awesome camping destination, Wind Point Park on Lake Tawakoni. It's over on the far east side, kind of the northeast side of the lake. It's a pristine park. You can go there and view, I think they estimated a couple of hundred deer on that couple of hundred acres there. Cabins, beautiful RV park, fishing piers, docks. It's got everything you'd want in an outdoor destination. Check them out online at windpointparktx.com. Folks, I want to introduce you to Vineyard Max. Now, this is an awesome deer attractant, a food attractant that's made with hammer-milled grape skin, dried hammer-milled grape skins. It has a mixture of rice bran and also corn chops. Very effective. Deer can smell the scent of grapes from a long way, and it brings them in. I've used it in West Texas out with Larry Weishuhn, and we were out there where deer are not even exposed to grapes, and they came right in. Also, Vineyard Max has a very good line of game and fish feeders. Check them out online, vineyardmax.net. Well, friends, Mr. Larry Weishuhn is going to tell you about the finest hunting optics that we have ever found.
Luke, these are called Stealth Vision. They come from Crockett, Texas. Dr. John McCall developed them. They're 34 millimeter tubes as opposed to the narrower tubes, so more light transmission. They have a little green light that comes on. That scope is leveled because that's when you want to pull the trigger. They have an optional lighted reticle as well too, and a whole lot of other products. And folks can learn more about them by going to stealthvision.com.
Folks, this segment is made possible by Smoking Tex electric smokers that I've been using a long time, Ultramatic feeders. I'd like you to check out the big bore air gun that I've done a great deal of hunting with. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw, 50 caliber, pressures up to 3,000 psi, and it looks like a conventional rifle. Wooden stock. I think you'll like the appearance, and I know you'll like the performance. It shoots not only bullets, but also air bolts as well, tipped with a broadhead. Check it out. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw. Well, friends, I have a great friend with me, Mr. Jeff Rice. Now, Jeff is the kingpin of the weekly TV show that we do, video. It's called A Sportsman's Life. Jeff has been our guest giving tips on filming your own hunt, things like that. And I thought it would be fun and maybe interesting for some of you to hear how we kicked this thing off several years ago now, A Sportsman's Life. It's on YouTube, but most people watch it on Carbon TV. Every week we we assemble Jeff and our buddy Larry Weishuhn and myself. We all film, and Jeff puts the show together. So, Jeff, I think it'll be fun to talk about how we got started with that, don't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was it's been a lot of fun years together doing this stuff, and you look back over the years. This is our 5th season now, and going back, you look over all the things that we've done, and it's kind of amazing, all the different adventures we've done and the different things we've done together. And it's been a ride. It's been a really good ride. And it all started out, I'll never forget sitting down on the creek with you, and we were fishing catfish, and I had my camera there. And I said, let's film. Let's see what we can do. We can film some fishing. And I believe, if I'm correct, Luke, we were fishing the Yantis Catfish Classic. And you don't have to be in a boat. You can fish.
Right. We were
fishing the creek. And I got that camera out, started filming, and you and I were talking. And it was one of those, we should try to put some type of a show together. Maybe do a weekly show, some outdoor adventure, whatever we may be doing, whether it's, fishing catfish in the creek, hunting deer, hunting hogs, scouting for, new places to hunt, whatever. And that's really kind of how it started. And you and I would come up with different things like, hog hunting 101 tips or something. Mm-hmm. And, every week we would come up with something different for our viewing audience and put it out there. And it just grew. It grew. Every week was just something new and something fun. And we have been through a lot of adventures. So it's 52 weeks in a year. Obviously, we've done a lot of shows because we're on our 5th season now, and I'm getting ready to release the 36th video of season 5 here probably later today, and it's amazing. But one of the cool things about it, I think that maybe separates us from some other shows out there is, a lot of the shows on TV you see today. It's all about, I've got to get this animal. They shoot the animal. It's got to be on video. It captures everything. And you don't see a lot of people miss. Perfect example, this week's show that I'm putting together. I missed twice at a hog, the same hog. But you know what? A lot of people would say, well, that's, edit that out, cut that. We don't need that because you missed. But you know what? Missing is part of the hunt.
That's true, Jeff.
Capturing that and showing folks out there, hey, I screwed up. This is what happened. It's a learning lesson for somebody that's watching out there. So we have done that all along. It's like, you know what? We're going to show the good with the bad. And that's just how we have carried the show for all of these years. And, sometimes it's kind of funny. You sit there and watch and go, oh, I can't believe I did that.
Right.
But we're going to show it.
Yeah.
We're going to show that out there. So when people see, they can get a laugh or they can maybe learn from it, So it's been a great ride. It's been, like I said, 5 years. We've had so much fun, and I look forward to many, many more adventures. We've got the deer season coming up here pretty quick, and we're always off to another adventure, my friend. I'm always looking forward to, all right, what's next?
That's right.
So
it's kind of from my angle, my input. It's interesting because I've been writing outdoor stories, articles for a bunch of newspapers and magazines and things like that for close to 40 years now, honestly. But so I have a system, and I do our radio show here, and I do some radio shows for public radio too. So I mean, I've been doing this stuff a long time, but adding the video thing to it. Well, I mean, this show has been both everywhere from Belize to, a lot of different options have come available through connections, honestly. But it's not like the same old thing every week. I mean, we've got a lot of people that we bring into the show that we film, don't we, Jeff? And I think that adds a great deal to, rather than just one thing, hunting hogs or shooting, whatever. We got a pretty varied type subjects,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got friends that do different things. Perfect examples are our friend Gary who hunts with flintlocks.
Yeah,
right. And having him out, he came out and hunted with us, and it's just interesting stuff. It's like come on the show. We'd love to learn more about that. And Gary came and shot his guns and hunted a bit. And it's just stuff like that is bringing our friends together. I mean, it's a little bit like your radio show. It's Luke Clayton and friends.
Yeah.
Well, a sportsman's life is, Jeff, Larry, and Luke and friends.
That's true.
It's bringing people out, enjoying the outdoor experience, capturing it on film, and seeing where it goes. And it's just been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's true, Jeff. Also, that what we try to do, and I think we're pretty good, pretty successful at this, is information, tips, and things. I think that helps people. I mean, I watch different shows and listen to podcasts, and I learn things. Larry is on this show talking about urine. I mean, where do you learn things like this? I mean, I've spent my life in the deer woods since I was like a kid hunting deer, thinking that if you urinated within a half a mile of where you were hunting, you were going to spook the deer. I watched Larry Weishuhn pee in a deer scrape about 3 years ago, and I shot a buck coming into that scrape. That's the truth. And I mean, where do you hear stuff? People don't. Most of the shows, and I'm not just bragging on us, but there's a lot of knowledge. And if people watch it real close, yeah, we're going to miss. And sometimes we don't even catch a fish and all that kind of stuff. But if you watch it week after week, you will pick up some information, glean from really gleaned from trial and error, Jeff, by us, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of been our mantra all along, is like, what can we teach folks out there, so yeah, there you're going to find a lot of tips and a lot of things, and sharing that wealth of information, because between the three of us, we've got a lot of years of experience. We've been doing this stuff a long time.
That's right. But the thing is, never stop learning, because folks listening to Larry and I talk about that topic about the urine, that blew. I thought, this is never going to happen. You're just going to spook every deer within half a mile. Well, it doesn't. Actually, it freshens a scrape up. So that's, like I say, I've listened and read a lot of stuff. You just don't learn a lot of the things that we that we bring forward. But we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up too, Jeff. I want to watch that footage of you on the bow hunt. You had a big hog, you were telling me, come in and lay down, but by the feeder, and then another one came in and you had it turned its butt to you, and you were standing there or up in the tree at full draw for minutes. So that's real. That's what I call real world outdoors, Jeff. You didn't get the hog either. Now, trust me.
Yep.
I've been there many times in that type of deal where I didn't get the hog, and I know people listening can relate to that. I want to bring this point up. Now, for about 7 or 8 years, a guy, Larry Large, and I outfitted elk and bear hunts. Now, so a lot of these guys that would come to Colorado and hunt archery only, and strictly archery hunts, they had watched a lot of elk hunting on TV. Almost all of them had. And what did they see on TV? They saw the culmination of maybe a week or 2 weeks of hard hunting, where somebody blows an elk bugle or a cow call, and a big bull comes running out of the woods, and they put an arrow in him at 30 yards. And kill it. That's what they see. But when they get up there in the mountains hunting, it's way different. Way different. Mm-hmm. They might hunt. We had 5-day hunts, and they may hunt 4 days and not be within bow range of an elk. And it happens. Or they might kill one the first hour of the hunt. I've seen that happen too. But people get, by not showing the real world thing, what really happens, people get a misconception, I think, of what to expect. Their expectancy is like, wow, it's easy. I want to go get one, I think it plays a really important part, the real world part, telling it like it is,
Oh, you're 100% correct. I mean, people have these high expectations. Oh, this will be easy. I watch it on TV every week, and these guys are out there shooting these big bulls or catching these giant catfish or whatever the case may be. And it's not. Yeah, it's hunting and fishing is an opportunity to go try to catch a fish or harvest an animal. Mm-hmm. There's no guarantees with hunting and fishing, but these TV shows out there today make it look like it's just easy. Just go. But that's not reality.
It's not
reality
real.
Is you spend a lot of time. I mean, how many times do we go out and film stuff and we don't even shoot anything? But you know what? But that's reality. That's what really happens. I mean, we could wait and just only put out, shows where an animal is harvested or a fish is caught. But you're not going to do that every week unless you're out there every day.
Yeah.
It's just not, it's not realistic. And what we try to do is keep it real. And that's why, we coined the term real world outdoors, because it is. I mean, and you learn from mistakes. My show this week, or our show this week, is a clear indication of don't draw your bow at the wrong time and just sit there and hold it.
I know.
Major tip right there. I screwed up big time, and people can watch the show and go, boy, he screwed up. And that's fine, but there's a lesson there. You know what I mean?
Yep. And we're about out of time, but I will say this, just, I would hate to know that the rest of my career, or the times that I spend hunting and fishing, I'm always going to shoot a big buck, I like the guesswork part of it, and the challenge of it. That's what's fun for me. Jeff, tell everybody how they can watch our show, A Sportsman's Life, would you?
We are on YouTube, so just go into YouTube, into the search engine, and type in A Sportsman's Life. You're going to find us. It's pretty simple. Or you can go to campfire-style.com. Or if you have like Roku or any of those, it's a streaming network. It's a great network. There's a lot of outdoor content. I can't say enough good things about Carbon TV. We're on there. I think we're on the live TV shows for Carbon on Sundays at 4 to 5 Central. We're on. They have a live stream where there's live shows playing.
Yep.
And if you go on there, I think 4 o'clock Central. 4 to 5 Central on Sunday evenings we're on.
Yeah.
But Carbon TV, campfire-style.com. You can find us there as well. And you can live through our adventures.
That's right.
Good
Jeff.
And bad, right?
That's exactly right. Well, thanks very much for sharing all this information with our friends and for being my guest, buddy.
Glad to join you.
I want to tell you about a one-stop shop for everything related to game feeders and fish feeders, Ultramatic feeders. I've been using components and feeders from Ultramatic feeders for 20-something years, I guess. They have the remote, which you can remotely activate your feeder with, the timer, which is the most simple timer that I've ever found on a game feeder. And then the eliminator, check these out. They are worked on centrifugal force, and they seal off the corn supply so coons and squirrels can't get to the corn. Check them out. Ultramatic feeders, you could go online to ultramaticfeeders.com. Folks, let's talk a little outdoor cooking. Let me tell you about an electric smoker that I've been using for 15 years, I guess. Smoking Tex electric smokers. If you're tired of staying up all night keeping that wood fire burning when you're barbecuing, give Smoking Tex a try. They're made to last a lifetime. You can check them out at smokingtex.com. That's SMOKINTEX.com. For seasonings, anything to do with outdoor cooking, all kind of jerky seasonings, sausage seasonings, Butcher Packer Supply. That's butcherpackersupply.com. I think the website is butcher-packer.com.
Big Sam left Seattle in the year of 92 with George Pratt, his partner, and brother Billy too.
Friends, this segment is made possible by Platinum Cadillac and Chevrolet in Terrell, Texas. Stop by and visit with my buddy Mr. Justin Rudd and his team of experts and let them put you in a new Chevy pickup or a Cadillac or whatever you might be in the market for. Also, the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma. Check them out at ChoctawHuntingLodge.com. Also made possible by Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything airgun related. Well, friends, Mr. Whitetail, our buddy Larry Weishuhn, is back with us, and we were talking a little bit, actually before today's show, about some myths in deer hunting. And bow season's coming up, matter of 2 or 3 weeks, it's going to be bow season, regardless of where, in most states, and definitely here in Texas where we live. Let's talk about a subject that I know a little bit about and something that I've learned from Larry, and that is urine, the scent of urine in scrapes. Larry, thank you for taking the time to come back with us today.
Absolutely, Luke. And you're talking about something that really is interesting to me, and I played around with a lot over the years, going back to many, many years ago.
Something that you've known a long time, and something that I've read and about deer. Urine is urine, that type of thing, but honestly, when I had to, when I was hunting and had to urinate, I'd always, up until I learned this from you a few years ago, honestly, I would never anywhere near that deer stand. Oh, they'll smell me. Well, what I learned from Larry, folks, is urine in a deer scrape, and I've witnessed this with I've seen it happen. I don't know if it's curiosity. I don't know if they think it's another buck. I don't know what they think. But I know that human urine does more good than harm in a deer scrape. Am I right or am I right?
Look, you're exactly right. Many, many years ago, I got to meet this gentleman down in South Texas who was killing some really outstanding deer. And I finally got to know him. And finally I said, how in the world do you kill all these big deer? And he said, well, I've got access to good country to begin with. And he says, then I drink a lot of water and a lot of coffee while I'm out hunting. And I go, you drink a lot of water and coffee. What does that have to do with it? And he says, every time I come by a scrape, he says, I will urinate in that scrape. And I said, really? I said, I thought that scares deer away. And he goes, nope, no, sir, not at all. He said, back then he didn't know the research, but after I'd done some, I found out that within less than about 30 seconds, deer cannot distinguish the difference between human urine and deer urine. And basically what they're smelling is that fresh smell of moisture on the ground. They're smelling uric acid. They're smelling kind of the ammonia. And deer, the other thing is if you've ever been around where there are dogs, you drive up to a ranch or a farm and guy's got 3 or 4 different dogs, and you've got a dog with you. The first thing that dog does is run over and mark territory on a tire. Well, immediately another dog comes by and does the same. That's basically kind of what happens with whitetail deer. Honestly, within less than 30 seconds, that deer cannot distinguish the difference between human urine and deer urine. And so basically what he is smelling, as I said, was the ammonia, was the uric acid and those kind of things. And he's coming there to see what other buck might have visited that scrape within the last few minutes. And he's coming over there. In most instances, when you do that, they're going to walk up there and they're going to freshen that scrape. I've done this so many times. I used to get tickled because I'd have somebody hunting with me down in the brush country of South Texas. And I always set up where I was kind of halfway guiding or trying to show them something.
Yeah.
I'd always set up where there was a scrape or two, where I could see 1 or 2 scrapes, and we'd sit down for a second, and I'd say, I'd pull out a big old glug of coffee and drink it. And I said, excuse me just a minute. And I'd walk over there and I'd urinate in those 2 scrapes. And as I'm walking back, I can just see these guys going, that total idiot. He is going to scare every deer in the country away. And invariably, within less than 30 minutes of my doing so, here would come a buck, and you could see him. He'd come in from downwind of that scrape. He'd walk directly to that scrape, kind of smell of the ground just a little bit, and then he would make a scrape there himself, to where, particularly once you get into closer to the breeding season, which we're actually, those bucks, once they get the velvet off, which has happened a lot of places now, maybe with the exception of a few places in South Texas, that velvet's come off. The testosterone levels gotten increased over the last several years. The bucks may still be a little bit in bachelor herds, but they're starting not to like each other. They're starting to make scrapes. And once those bucks start making scrapes, that is a fantastic way of just depositing human urine in those to freshen those scrapes whenever you start seeing fresh scrapes.
You were laughing, and it's going to be hard for me to tell this story without laughing, but it's not funny, but it kind of is funny. So what Larry just described happened. This is where I learned that this works. Now, I'd read about it, but I was always very dubious because I'm old school. I started hunting deer in the 60s, where you were sent, no, don't ever urinate anywhere within a mile of it. Y'all used to be all kind of weird truths out. Larry and I were in a big old comfortable blind up at the Choctaw Hunting Lodge a few years ago, and it was, let me think. Yeah, it was my time I was after the deer, and you were filming, and you were helping me pick out the right deer that we were going to shoot, that I was going to shoot. That's what was going on. Well, okay, I get up in the stand, and you know how it's a tower stand. Crawl up in there and put the gun in the corner and take my pack and get all my binoculars out where I can watch, and I look over there under a tree over there about 40 yards. There's a limb hanging over, and Larry, Larry's got to use the restroom. Okay, he's peeing in the scrape. I'm telling you. So I said to myself, I really did. I didn't say this to you, but I thought, wait a minute. what's going on? Maybe he thinks this works, but I don't know if this works or not. That's what I was thinking. Got back in there. This is absolutely what happened, and there was lots of bucks. I mean, there were so many bucks that I wanted. There's certain type of bucks that I was targeting anyway. That's where Larry came in handy on this hunt. Anyway, so I'm up there. I'll be doggone. There's a buck come in, and there's a pretty good stiff wind from the north. I remember it vividly. Mm-hmm. Come up there and started pawing in that scrape. I won't forget that. And I said, well, okay, I'm not the complete dummy. I can learn, or I can relearn, stuff. And so this segment, talking about something as basic as that, it's a truth. I mean, I know the biology, the science has proven it to be true, but I just think those bucks, I don't know what they think, but it could be like, I don't know, curiosity or whatever. Which buck is this? I hadn't seen this buck in the area. What's that deer? I guess it's the curiosity of does the urines, do you think it's different aromas from different that the deer are smelling, or do you think it all smells like urine?
I think if it's within the first few seconds of a deer might be able to distinguish the difference, but that is hardly ever the case. Actually, years ago, we played around with all kinds of doe and heat scents and all those kind of things, and dominant buck scents, and we had a bunch of bow hunters out on the property that I managed. It was Judd Cooney and I, and we gave all these a little different vials. Everybody had different vials. Said, okay, this is a doe and heat fresh from a doe that we urine from a doe that we just shot yesterday, and in one of them we put sterile water. Yeah, I mean, where there was just nothing but water that had been sterilized. And we had as many people, and it said pour it on the ground or pour it in the scrape, and we had as many people have bucks come into the sterile water, or actually more than we did of some of the other things. And so with that, and same thing with human urine, we were playing with human urine. We had more bucks come into that than we did any of the commercial type scents. And again, I think it's just that it's that deer's curious. They're at a heightened sexual state of, because of testosterone. They smell that freshly aroma of water, or right, urine being on, and then they can smell the uric acid and the ammonia. And so to me, after just a little bit, again, based on the research now that they finally have done, they cannot distinguish the difference. And so it's I think it's partly out of curiosity. I think it's partly out of the fact that, just like we're talking about with dogs, male dogs Xing out the last dog that marked territory on a tire, I think it's a lot of that as well too. Well, but here's the deal. It does have them come in. If a deer comes by and he comes in downwind, and most bucks approach there's a scrape from downwind because they want to smell if it's been recently, visited. Yep. They'll come in downwind. And if it smells to them like that scrape's been visited recently by anything, they're going to come. And that may be the curiosity side of things, or it may be the fact that, hey, what's this buck doing here? And I'm going to X him out kind of thing.
Larry, I just thought of something. It works. Yeah, it works. That's the bottom line. I've seen it work, put it that way. That puts a whole new light on the term of freshening up a scrape. Doesn't it?
It does. It does.
And folks, I can't help, but to me it's comical in a way. I don't know why it is, but I think it's the fact that as long as I've hunted deer, I've learned something that was totally foreign to the other 180 years I've been, whatever. But
and so totally opposite.
Yeah, I mean,
most people will tell you
that's true. And then camouflage. You have camouflage. I have camouflage. We all have camouflage clothes. But I do believe this: the old Woolrich, the check that breaks out the outline. Hunters didn't, 50 years ago, 40, I don't know how long back, before about 1970, camouflage was not a big deal. It really wasn't. When I first started hunting, well, you had a plaid coat or whatever that broke up the outline. But I really do to this day. I would feel just as comfortable wearing a checkered Woolrich jacket, because it does break up the outline, doesn't it?
Look, it really does. I mean, to me, the jury's still out completely, not totally the scientific of what deer actually can and can't see. But for whatever reason, that red and black or the green and black plaid that was on Woolrich jackets and wool or just, flannel type shirts and those kind of things for years has worked really, really well. The camouflage, I wear camouflage for a lot of different reasons because it looks like I'm hunting. I feel like I'm hunting sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
But also I can get it dirty and get blood on it and get mud on it, and it doesn't show.
That's it.
Compared to the other clothes that I wear. But I love wearing it occasionally. But and particularly for one of the main reasons I wear it these days is because the softer materials that it comes in and things like that, that I can't really get elsewhere anymore like we used to with the wool. But at the same time, if you wear a muted color, saying a gray, brown, green, and can sit in a broken shade, that is a great camouflage pattern when you get right down to it.
It is.
And the thing about it is, to me, is anything that you can wear that kind of breaks your pattern, and that plaid, the large, what these call buffalo plaid, that really breaks up your outline. And then to me, it's wear what you feel comfortable in. If you camo is your thing, by God, by all means, wear the latest and the greatest that's available.
Yeah.
And if not, wear something that you would normally wear, and pay attention to the sun, pay attention to the wind, which way the wind's blowing, because deer live and die by their nose. They pay attention to what they hear and what they see, but if they're any kind of danger or suspected danger, they're going to come in downwind and try to smell before they make that final decision. So to me, set up properly and don't move rapidly. Move your hands, move slowly in an orchestrated manner, and that makes all the difference in the world.
Being still, you're right. Well, Larry, thanks for coming back this week on our show, and this is a very interesting topic, and I know I've learned firsthand that with that knowledge, it'll help any deer hunter. So thanks for sharing it with us, Larry.
Absolutely. Wish everybody the best of luck out there.
For about the past decade, I've been hunting editor for Airgun Hobbyist magazine. I think the only magazine devoted strictly to airgun shooting and hunting in the country. Well, in that length of time, I've learned quite a bit about big bore air guns and smaller calibers too. A spot to go to that if you're interested in air guns, you need to know about Pyramid Air. The website is PYRAMYD, pyramidair.com. They have anything and everything you need, from the guns themselves, the big bores or the smaller calibers, to the accessories. Just remember pyramidair.com, and there's a number when you get on the website if you need to call and talk to somebody. Give them a buzz, and they can fill you in on little details that you might need to know about shooting or hunting with big bore air guns.
The snowflakes fall as winter comes, and time just seems to fly.
Friends, this segment is brought to us by CVA muzzleloaders. In my opinion, the very best muzzleloaders in the world, the ones that I shoot. You can check them out online, cva.com. Kubi's Wild Game Processing and Kubi's Restaurant in Dallas, and Vineyard Max, maker of some awesome deer attractant and some very fine game feeders and fish feeders, located down in Nacogdoches, Texas. Check them out at vineyardmax.net. Well, folks, we have covered the gamut this morning. We're going to talk some bow hunting with somebody that knows a whole lot about archery and bows, Mr. Ron Duker. Now, Ron is with Pyramid Air. He's the archery manager there. And I tell you what, I think you're going to learn something that's really is cutting edge. Ron, thank you for being with us, buddy.
Yeah, you bet, Luke.
Yeah, I tell you. So you patented a system, and I am privy to this system because I have a basic bow that you worked the magic on, your team did. Tell us about that. It's a patented system where you ship out from Pyramid Air, you ship out a bow, and you shipped one to me that fit perfectly. It had the peep was in the right place, the draw length was perfect, everything was spot on. So tell us about the process where you can do that. And I want to make a disclaimer. I'm all about pro shops. They're great. But not everybody can afford a $1,400 bow and the accessories. Not everyone can spend a couple $1,000s on a bow. This is a way. I ordered a bare bones, a bare archery, bare bones bow that cost about $500. And out of the box, when I got it, Ron, that thing was shooting it. I checked it at 20. It was spot on right there. So tell us about the process.
Yeah, you bet. Absolutely. The starting with the magic of it, right, is that in the archery space, all of us as archers, we really want to share our passion with as many people as possible. And what that means is it means making things as convenient for the customer as it can be. And I appreciate what you said about, this isn't, archery shops are necessary. It's part of the industry. It's part of the passion that we're all in, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
The barrier, so to speak, that we wanted to kind of go over is from an online perspective. There's folks out there that are several hours away, or they don't have the time, or they're new and they just have a wish to try to figure everything out online. Go ahead and make a bow purchase and have it work for them when it shows up. And in the past, it's been you buy the bow, but then you have to end up taking it to a shop anyway to set it up because they need bow presses and all the work like that, right? So the magic is really the peep height is what sets this apart from everything else. And what we do is we created the patent is we created a new measurement in archery, which is called eye height, which at the pure vertical, if you're looking straight forward, as if you were going to shoot a bow, you measure the distance straight up and down from where the corner of your eye is to the corner of your mouth. With that information, along with your draw weight and the typical measurements that we need, right? Draw weight, draw length, select a bow, and then we can use those three calculations. We go in and do a whole bunch of math basically behind the scenes that tells us exactly where the center of your peep needs to be relative to your D loop in order to have like the perfect, like we talked with ATA and said, where's the perfect anchor point, right? Not everybody follows that, and that's okay. We can adjust for you as well if you call that out to us. But the idea is you come in, you give us one measurement. You might not know where your peep needs to be on that specific bow because you've never had that axle to axle height, et cetera, et cetera. We do all that work and tie in the peep exactly where it's going to fit your eye to where it's most natural and you maintain your form. And so in that process, when we get that information from you, you have the opportunity to select the bow. We have ready to hunt packages just like everything else in the industry. And then you can do different upgrades and select, do you want to upgrade your rest? Do you want to upgrade your sight? Do you want a 2-pin, a stack? Do you want range finding optic? Do you want, what type of release do you want? Once you've selected all of that, it goes to our bow technician. And the really cool part is the thing that we are extending to the industry is to be able to say, it's a complete bow setup, meaning we even do paper tuning. We test the cam lane. We make sure that everything's set and lined up properly. The cams are timed properly. We go through all of that work here in our shop. And then when it comes to you, you have a bow that's already shooting. We guarantee, because we sight it in our range, we have an indoor range. Yep. Make sure your top pin is set at 20 yards. Not going to be perfect. You'll be on the target though.
Oh yes.
So you can be consistent and say, okay, I pulled it out, I shot it, and yes, it's looking good, it's sounding good, and it's hitting true. And then you adjust to whatever pins you want for the rest of your setup. But we've got everything ready to go right out of the box for you. The other component with that is we have custom arrow cutting. So what we mean by that is anytime you set up a bow and I'm a 30-inch draw and I shoot 28-inch arrows because the way I like my rest set up and have it behind where the actual riser is and all of that. Well, when I change my bow setup, meaning a different bow, that changes my arrow length, right? And I don't want to have an unsafe condition. So what we mean by custom is we set the bow up. If you tell us custom, we're going to cut your arrow we put a 1/2 inch past the riser, so that way you have clearance for any broadhead, anything that you want to do. Make sure your shaft is correct, and you have everything set up ready to go out of the box without having to know really any of that. You just tell us to go ahead and take care of it. And we're happy to do it.
I tell you what, Ron, honestly, mine at 20, I'm used to shooting. I really, when I hunt and the way I'm going to wind up setting this bow up is a green pin at 25 yards. I've done it for years. One pin at 25 yards, and then I've got one down there for like whatever I want, 35 or whatever. But I'm hunting deer mostly and wild hogs. So when I pull that, now this, I want to stress, this was a $500 bow, and I'm accustomed to shooting. I was on the Matthews Pro staff for years, and I mean I know what a $1,200 bow is supposed to shoot like. I didn't want that, and I wanted one that someone that out maybe hours from a bow shop, or I would like to get into bow hunting. Well, this is a $500 bow, and I didn't expect it to shoot like a $1,200 bow. It does not. I mean, I knew that going in, but I did want one that someone could afford. You know, anybody could save up and afford it, and that was serviceable to hunt with. And this bow is. I'm at 20 yards. That top pin. I know this was probably maybe a rarity, but it was on. I haven't adjusted anything yet. I do plan to move that green top pin to 25 dead on. Then and I'm going to hunt with this bow this fall. I'll probably be hunting hogs with it within a week or two here where I live. So I think it's an awesome idea, and it's a patent on this, right? On this process.
Is, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a patented process. It was the process of going through that was interesting because they do a search throughout all the patents out there, and it came back and said there's nothing like this that's ever been created, so there's no possible overlap with anything. So the U.S. Patent Office just issued it.
That's good.
There was no delay, no wait, nothing. It's already live. It's already active. It's already ready to go.
And that's not the way with most patents. I know that much. You know,
right? No, it's not
in outdoor gear. Well, I would like to. It's so good, Ron, to have an archery expert. I probably am like many of the folks listening. I mean, I've hunted with bows for years. I've taken lots of game with bows, but there and then being an expert, a technician that really understands the little nuances in a bow, it's a different story, and I bet a lot of people can relate to that. But I'd like to get you back from time to time. You did a good job describing this. Now, say someone wants a bow. It doesn't have to be what old Luke ordered, a $500, and I'm not knocking that Bear bow. I mean, it's a Bear archery. It's a great bow, but it's not a $1,200 bow. So if somebody might want to order one, you can do it all online, can't you?
You can, 100% on pyramidair.com.
Okay.
You go into the links, you can see all of that, and we have anywhere from the entry-level bows all the way up. We carry the Gearhead line. We carry PSE, Bear, Diamond, you name it. And so we've got all the price points there. But again, it's take the opportunity to look at pyramidair.com and go through and select what works best for you.
Yes, sir. And folks, Ron mentioned Gearhead. That's what I hunt with, is a Gearhead. These bows are awesome. Now, if you're wanting a top end bow, I mean, I'll tell you what, look into those, check those out thoroughly. But pyramidair.com, and tell us how to track that link down easily once you get to Pyramid Air.
When you go to pyramidair.com, all you got to do is go in and select your go to archery, go to compound bow, and then when you select the bow that you want, it'll tell you, is this complete bow setup eligible? And if so, all you got to do is add it to the cart, and it'll be an option in your cart when you go to checkout. Easy
enough. Ron, thank you a lot, and I would like to get you back, and I can learn some more things, some technical stuff from you, and I know our listeners can. So Thank you very much for being with us.
Absolutely. Thanks, Luke. Thank you.
Folks, that about wraps our show up for this week. I've enjoyed being with you, and I hope you've had a good time, too. And, folks, we're also brought to you by the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma, located about, 45 minutes west of Hugo, Oklahoma, owned by the Choctaw Nation. It's about 45,000 acres of awesome mountain, country, hills, valleys, loaded with game. Lots of eastern turkey, and they do eastern turkey hunts if you're looking for a spot to hunt turkey in the spring.